Greetings, brothers and sisters. This is Professor Spira, and wanted to do a video and share this moment with you guys. After years of work, I finally am going to be releasing Annotated Mucusless Diet in both paperback and Kindle. I know those of you that have been with me for a while, you've been hearing me say that. And I keep saying it, and I say it again and over again. I'm gonna be releasing it. And this time I got a date for you. On November 25th is the official release date of both the Kindle version as well as the paperback versions of the Annotated, Revised, and Edited Mucusless Diet Healing System. And it got real. I just been kind of getting everything rolling here on Amazon Kindle, and I kind of like how this looks. This is a previewer, and you could look at all these different Kindle Fire HD, Kindle, all these different devices that you may or may not have. You can see what it looks like on an iPad, iPhone, and that. But yeah, this is first time I've looked at it on my phone. I did check it on my phone to see how it looked, but it looks really good on this Kindle Fire format here. And just page through a little bit and show this off a bit. And while we're on the subject of the Kindle, I'm actually going to make an offer to you guys because, on one hand, I really could use your help. And on the other hand, I want to reward those of you that have been avid supporters, been following me for years, and those of you that are new to the channel, new to the information, but are open-minded and enjoy the work that we do. I appreciate and love you all. So what I'm going to do is I am going to give you guys an opportunity to download this version, this Kindle version. Also have an EPUB version in case you're an EPUB person. And I got the most recent PDF versions. And I'm going to let you guys download it for free. And this is only for the next week and a half or so until the release. And the deal is, if you agree to download it and pick it up, in return, what I ask is that you go on Amazon on the release date, on the 25th. That's real important. On the 25th, that you go on Amazon and you leave an objective review of the book. And that would really, really help me out. That would help the movement out. The Amazon books, oftentimes the success rate is dependent upon the reviews that are there. And so any of you, and I know a lot of you have had the PDF version, so now you can have the Kindle version. You can have this downloaded, have it in your smartphone, read off sections to people walking around on the subway or the bus or something. But it would really help me out. All you had to do is on the 25th, you log into your Amazon account and you give a review. Obviously, I would love 5 stars or the great review, but that's not, I want you to be objective, and I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear what do you think of this annotated version of the Mucusless Diet. And I've gotten reviews, before, but now I want to get all of the reviews onto Amazon. And so for those of you taking a look for the first time, this is interesting is you can change the font and stuff, the font size, and there's different things that you can do with these digital versions. But the thing about the annotated version, let me get to the actual sections here where we're into the book, and I will show off the annotated, how easy this is. This is an interactive experience that you really can only get from an electronic, these electronic versions, whether it be a PDF or the Kindle or EPUB or whatever. But what you can have is this kind of interactive process. So we hear right at the beginning, every disease, no matter what name it is known by medical science, is constipation. It is a clogging up of the entire pipe system of the human body. Now you notice that little number 1 right after it. That leads to a note. And you click the button and you go here, and this is the notations that I make throughout the book. Whenever there was an issue where people have a tendency to not understand, or if there was definitions, or if they talked, he was name dropping. There's a lot of people's names that people maybe back in 1915 knew who these people were, but today, they're not as familiar. So I put all of that in these notes, and so far people have loved these notes. Just the feedback that I get, they really, really find this beneficial. And people that have read the book 30, 40 years ago have told me how much they really like these notes that just flow right with the text. We got the original text up in the book, and then we have my notes here for that constipation. I say many people assume that Eric is referring only to bowel constipation. However, his use of the word is much broader in scope, referring to constitutional encumbrances on the cellular level that have been obstructing one's organism since birth. Although Eric does assert that the foundation of cellular constipation is bowel constipation, which is the definite result of eating pus and mucus-forming foods, Eric's concept of the term extends beyond the bowels. It's just simple little note, but that's important because I notice when I talk to people about the Mucusless diet, or especially if I'm talking to people and I use the word constipation, I basically have to define that term. Like, here's Eric's understanding of the word constipation when he says that every disease known to man, every human illness known to man is constipation. We're talking about not just bowel constipation, but cellular constipation, the cellular level. And this gets into the more contemporary analysis of stagnant lymphatic system and all that kind of stuff. But it's all in here. All of this information is right up in here, and you just have to know how to read it. And what I try to do with these notes is give you it's kind of like what I'm thinking about, or just this extra little bit of analysis, extra little understanding to dig a little bit deeper. There's a lot of stuff that people miss. The thing about the Mucusless diet is it's kind of like a Rorschach test, insofar as people read this and they see themselves in it to a certain extent. They see what they want, their aspirations, the limitations of their own mind in regard to what they think the extent of human potential is. And I've come to sort of understand that more and more when I talk to people about the diet, and when the way they read it. I've just heard so many different readings of the Mucusless diet, and I've heard ones that there's certain issues that people consistently miss, certain theories or concepts that you don't have to believe. Like I said, I got to tell people, Mucusless diet is not about dogma. It's not about a belief system. It's about a a methodology that anybody, regardless of your beliefs, can use and benefit from. You don't have to believe in a car. You don't have to believe that a Chevrolet is the best car for you to get in it and turn the key. The mechanics of starting a Chevrolet with a key is similar mechanics to starting a Porsche with a key. Mechanics are the same. You can get more advanced, and so now we have remote start on cars and that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, to get that engine running, the mechanics are the same. And that's what we really have with the Mucusless Diet. It's about the mechanics. And so I try to indicate when we're talking from a philosophical side of things and a theoretical side of things, because Eric puts out some controversial theories and has some ways of understanding concepts that are very different from the way most people think. And I felt like it was really important to clarify and say, okay, well, look, this is my reading of what Eric really meant when he said such and such. Or maybe we need to do a bit more research here and not just disregard this theory because we think that science has come so far since then. I mean, there's a couple people that are prominent figures, medical doctors and things, that agree with Eric's work to a certain extent, but they kind of disregard some really important aspects, and then they will try to I call them Eric apologists, where they will try to say, well, Eric would think differently today about some of the more controversial theories, and I disagree with that. I don't know. I don't claim to know. Nobody can claim to know what Eric would think today, but I definitely would not say that I think he would disregard, sort of change his mind about some of his really intense, groundbreaking theories. And the other thing about it is that you have to practice the Mucusless diet and practice those mechanics in order to see some of the theories come alive, to see what he was talking about, like where his mindset was when he came up with certain theories and certain methodologies. And that's another thing about the Mucusless diet, is every time you read it, it's a different book because you're a different person. And it has that kind of power. Every time you read it, the book is different. I still read the book every day, and I still learn something new every time I read it, because I think differently. I analyze something differently. Something else pops out, and it's just a special book from that perspective. I will say that, like I said, I kept, for the most part, the text is the same, the main body of the text, with minor, just editing changes. I wasn't gonna repeat if there's a word misspelled or something like that. Kind of updated some of those things, and then I'd studied different versions, and the certain versions were changed over the years. The 1924 edition of the Mucusless Diet has some pretty significant changes had been made since 1924. When you get into the 1950 versions and the 60 versions, Fred Hirsch made changes and made updates to it, and so I kind of note some of those things in the notes section. Let's see what it looks like with a different. What do we look on an iPhone? That's cute. This is a little iPhone. Yeah, that's what it looked like on my my smartphone. The iPad. I know there's a lot of folks that got the iPad going on. I think Tony's got an iPad. Tony Believe who practices Mucusless Diet. Now to check out his videos. He's doing some nice videos on his channel, Mucusless Diet Health. Fat and lean types. I could just go through the book and sit here and talk for 4 hours about this, just going through the different elements. And yeah, fat and lean types. I need to do more, just going through and getting, especially these things, because I always hear about that, and to me it's just such a simple yet powerful way to understand human physiology. I mean, it doesn't mean you have to not, if you've studied 21st century classes in human physiology, it doesn't mean that you have to throw all that away. I mean, on the contrary, what we need a lot more of is people that can really critically analyze and study Ehret's work, and then go and study the theories and methodologies that are in the current medical establishment. But you got to have that critical eye and analysis to discern between, like, okay, well, that doesn't make any sense the way that they interpret that. But then you see something else and be like, okay, well, that's kind of interesting. You see something else and be like, okay, I think that as a whole, as a scientific community, we need to look at that again. It's critical thinking, and there's not enough of that. There's not enough of just sort of like it's sometimes it's okay to not know. It's okay to have a theory. It's okay to have a hypothesis, or to challenge something that everybody else thinks is fact when it's not a fact. Like example I always give is protein theory. You could believe in it, or you don't have to believe in it, but most people don't even know that they have a choice. They don't know that they don't have to believe in the protein theory as it relates to human metabolism. And my recommendation is always to study the history, because that's when I will respect someone's opinion on that subject if they can stand in front of me and give me the history of the protein theory, or give me the history of just nutrition in general. Like, give me that history, the talk about mold, or talk about Francois Magenti, talk about the whole the experiments that they did, the reasoning, critically analyze where their heads were at when they came up with these theories. I mean, once you can do that, and then you can sort of back up, like, okay, well, you can be like, okay, well, I still believe in such and such theory. Most people don't know the history. I've talked to medical doctors that don't know the history of the protein theory. They don't know the sadistic experiments that were being done on dogs and all this kind of stuff. And so to me, that's where that studiousness needs to really, studiousness needs to meet practice. So you got to study, but you can't. But it's not just about studying and having the book knowledge and understanding. It's always about the doing process. But I find that a certain level of study is really about freedom. It's about being able to free your mind, so that you're not. It's not about believing what somebody told you. Because I never tell anybody, well, just believe what I say. I'm saying that we have to critically examine, like, let's examine these concepts. But there's a way to do it. And that is, when folks really understand how to think and how to be able to examine any concept, any idea, any philosophy, and sort of give it that objective look. I mean, we can take things way, way farther than where it is now, and then where most things go. Conversations, a lot of conversations about these kind of topics are limited because the people that are having the conversation don't necessarily have that background, enough of the having been studious, of really understand that history, really understand these concepts, because all of this is ideas. It's all ideas and concepts and language. We can break all this down based on language, the way in which we are communicating these concepts and ideas. We can break it all down. And so protein is a concept, and then you ask, what is the usefulness of the concept? In chemistry, I think there's a usefulness, because we can get into various compounds, and you can kind of analyze things on a chemical level. I love physics. I love theoretical physics. But I look at all those things as ideas. It's the lowest common denominator, because everything is an idea, and these ideas are connected with language, or rather, we've connected them to language so that we can just communicate. Rain is an idea. Ocean is an idea. It's just a concept. What's the usefulness of the concept? Well, it's useful, works. It's the ocean. We know what we're talking about. When we start getting into these kinds of things, that's where lean body type is a concept. Fat body type is a concept. What's the usefulness of these concepts? Those of us that practice Mucusless diet find it very useful, because if you have a physiology that aligns with the concept of a lean body type, or aligns with the concept of a fat body type, that can help you make better informed decisions about how you want to practice a diet, what kinds of foods you should be eating, how often should you be fasting or not be fasting, all these things. When you sort of understand a fairly simple concept. I should check out some of these. Check out another note. Okay, this is just going through all these different illnesses. Yeah, I don't use the word disease. I mean, the disease is in here because that's the term Eric used. I always use the word illness because I don't deal with disease as a concept. I mean, that's just it's not for me to use. It's not, I don't find the concept useful. And see how we're learning, we're already learning. Any idea, just test it. What you can do that about any concept. What is the usefulness of this concept? What's the usefulness of the concept of disease? Personally, I find it to be more damaging than useful. And it's basically been appropriated by a certain group of people, and that group of people are as a whole are not very kind to people that are in these the naturopathic diet circles. And so to sort of change it up and say human illness, it makes sense to me. One of my notes is about that. what's this note? Earlier in the text, Eric critiques naturopathy, suggesting that it does not explain sufficiently the source, nature, and composition of foreign matters as the fundamental oneness of all disease. Yet Eric does identify himself as a naturopath. Essentially, he contributes a much-needed perspective to the discipline. Eric's methods may be viewed as true naturopathy. And see, just that kind of stuff. I mean, the book has certain conflicts in it that are easily explained, but one person could read it and they sort of pick up where Eric's talking about himself as a naturopath. Somebody else could read it and maybe miss the part where he's talking about naturopath, but they identify with the part where he's criticizing naturopathy. And so he does both. On one hand, he identifies with himself as a naturopath and aligns himself with certain concepts, and then on the other side, he's critical of it. And that's really what we are. What you should do. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. He be critical. Be critical, yet you do it in a productive way. When you say the word critical, it depends on the context you're using that. I'm using it in more of an academic context where being a critical reading of something is just a more in-depth reading. You just analyze, and the analyzation process is not to pick at something and try to disprove something. It's basically to objectively examine the ideas and what's the usefulness of these ideas. And so I could do this all day. I have fun just going over the Mucusless diet. So I think I'll cut this off before I end up talking for forever. But I do appreciate you guys. I really do. I mean, it's been a long time coming, and I kind of, you might even hear it in my voice, I'm kind of relieved and happy that I feel like I've finally brought it to where I wanted to bring it. It's been very hard, a lot of work, just a lot of behind the scenes work. I can a lot of the stuff I do is just 24 hours, but I get excited when I see other people get excited about Arnold Ehret's work and the Mucusless diet, and when they get it, I love seeing people have those aha moments where they thought it was one thing, sometimes just based on what other people were saying or whatever. It's like, well, they think Ehret is one thing, then they really, really take another look at his work and they realize that this is a whole other thing. And that whole other thing makes it even more special. And so it's a privilege for me to be in the position to share this information with people. And, I hope to be able to continue to do it. And, I've put a lot of things on the line in my personal life to try to make this happen, to try to be able to put this information out there, because I felt like it was, kind of part of my life's mission. Like I was supposed to do this, right? And it was supposed to be done right now, because it's one of those things where I was open to different vibrations out there. We use the term universe, listening to the universe. But yeah, I kind of had a different plan, but I kept coming back around to this, and it just was like, this is something I'm supposed to do now. The time is right now. There's people ready now for this information. So So I try to act as a vehicle, and a conduit, because I don't take credit for really anything. I mean, any of my writings or things I put out, or books or music or anything I do, for me, it's about being open and letting vibration flow through me. And so I don't claim ownership from that type of perspective of like, well, wow, this is, like, nah, I am just humbled to be able to articulate a sliver of what I think is like really important information that's world changing, that people around the world need. People need this information. And that was another thing, because I kind of looked out there, and when I saw people that had large followings and they were talking about the Mucusless diet, and people were changing and everything, then that kind of made me feel good, that, and I wasn't even pushed as much. Like when I kind of see people, things happening, there was an aspect where I kind of felt like, okay, well, cool. There at least people are talking on a higher level. But then I noticed sometimes the level wouldn't stay up as high as I would like, or a lot of people would get in the air it, and then they got 1 foot in the air at 1 foot other places and stuff. And I think Eric's work deserves a group of people that are really into Eric, like really, really situated in where the foundation is there. And like I said, that doesn't mean that if you're a casual reader of Eric, I mean, I like everybody, I like everybody to read it, whether you're a casual reader, you're somebody that's got an illness that you looking for a natural remedy, you want to transition to veganism, raw foodism, fruitarianism, beyond. I mean, whatever it is that you want to do, this information can really aid you and contribute to your path. Whatever it is, I truly believe that. But there is something to be said for those of us that really kind of take this on and go down this way all the way, because it's more than a notion, and to really go down here, it's challenging, because it is really challenging in ways that you would not expect. Most people are like really obsessed with, oh, well, I gotta eat this and it's hard to eat it, and it's like this. You kind of get past the eating part. I mean, that's always just a challenge, because we're addicted to mucus, But you start being put in situations where you have to look at yourself in the mirror and be very honest with yourself. And I notice that for some people that becomes very challenging, because we all kind of want to, we want to think that we're doing good, and we want to pat ourselves on the back and kind of, feel like we're good people and all that kind of stuff. But Mucusless diet is kind of like, and that's why a lot of artists get into it, and people that sort of have that propensity to want to push themselves to greater and greater heights, to the highest heights that they can. And when you do that, or when that is part of your goals, there's some hard times. I mean, you really are challenged, and it is in ways that you didn't necessarily expect, whether it be emotional things that come back that you might have went through something when you were young, family issues, or all of those things that you thought were tucked away, hidden somewhere, that you felt like you had dealt with it. All of a sudden, that stuff comes on back. because you've given it a chance to, because as you start to clean yourself up, all that stuff's coming back. And you got to eliminate it, and you learn how to eliminate it. So then, get into the emotional detox, a whole other discussion. But anyway, again, I want to thank you guys. What I'm going to do, look underneath down below, you will see a link right up top that will take you to a sign-in sheet, kind of a sign-in thing, and put your name and email address in there. Then you'll get an email in your mailbox. Click on that, and then you will be taken to the download page, and you will be able to download this version totally for free. And this is very limited time. This is only going to be this is for the people that are real supporters, because the only people that really find my videos and stuff right now are the people that are really supportive. So this is trying to give back a little bit, in return, of course. You help me and you help get this information out there if you do go on Amazon and go ahead and put a review on the 25th. And then those of you that want that have been sort of yearning for a paperback version, they will be ready, and you can get yourself a paperback version of this version of the Mucusless Diet, and then have all the different versions. And so I think that'll do it for this installment, and you can probably expect more videos out of me coming up as getting ready for this release. And I'm just happy right now. I'm just happy that all the work is paying off. And so I love you guys. Take care, and peace, love, and breath.